Hey everybody, it's Strict9 with Strict9 GP, and welcome to another episode of my Out of the Park Baseball 19 playthrough with the Phillies. This should be episode 9, and we've just finished up the playoffs and started the off season. Free agents just filed in the league. The international free agents just came on the market, and I'm probably going to go through a little bit of that. I'm going to go through the Hall of Fame voting in this episode to see if maybe there were some first timers that showed up on the ballot that might be interesting to look at. And we might go through a little bit of free agency and see what's out there in terms of starting pitching, and see if I can't sign a couple guys or at least make some good offers for a couple guys, because as usual it's going to be my starting pitching that I really need to improve this offseason. So let's go ahead and get started. There's a couple things I'm going to have to talk about, though, that a couple things happened during the off season that really, it's very rare for me in playing out this game, but it may impact the series going forward, and we'll talk about that here in a few minutes. But first off, I wanted to look at my owner goals after going into the off season, after the season ended. He's still wanting us to reach the playoffs, upgrade at first base, which I'm going to give Van den Heuvel some more time there because I think he is going to develop into a good player. He wanted me to sign Sean Coriolan. Coriolan left the team, but that's something that I'm going to have to talk about, and I will in a minute. And he wants us to reach the World Series next year. Those are pretty tough goals. Although we've had that reach the World Series goal for a while, so I understand it's time. It's time for us to get to that next level. But the good thing about the off season and those owner goals was he gave me, if I can find the message, he gave me a 3-year extension. Yeah, there we go. Contract extended. So. He's finally gotten past that 1-year extension with me, so that's good. At least I got him, made him a little bit happier this off season or this season. So now I've got 3 years unless something bad doesn't happen next year with the team. I don't know if we'll be able to build a World Series contender for next year, but that's the goal. I think offensively we may have some key players there that can do it, but if we can't get the starting pitching, I don't see how we'll possibly make it. I don't even know if we'll be able to repeat a 92-win season if we don't replace some of that pitching that we lost and upgrade the pitching. I wanted to go through the off-season award winners as well, and that's one of those issues that I mentioned earlier that I was going to have to talk about, because I've discovered a little bit of a glitch, and it's probably something that happened in my league files when I converted over to 19. And this is really, like I said, it really is rare. I seldom have problems like this going between versions, or when a new version comes out, I'm usually able to play it right off the bat, and I don't have to worry too much about backing up my league or running into problems that just, really damage the playthrough or the lead to the point where I have to start over. And I don't think I'm there yet. I'm going to soldier on, but a couple things have happened this offseason that makes me a little bit worried. One, not all the award winners showed up. And by that I mean there was no MVP, there was no Cy Young. The only award winners that they announced were for the Manager of the Year, the Gold Glove, and the Platinum Stick Award winners, which, I think those are the only awards that really showed up. Rookie of the Year didn't come in. So that was kind of perplexing. I've never seen that happen. And then when the message came through, there were no list of winners that showed up in the message. So I don't know what caused this glitch. I think if I'm not mistaken, when I can't remember, and I could go back and watch the video to make sure, but I converted this league over right as I was, I think, just starting free agency or salary arbitration at the end of the season when I converted that 18 league over. So I don't know if that was an issue. Like I say, it's really rare. I've never seen anything like that. But one thing I did notice, and this was in the game settings, under the if I can find it, I think it's under league settings. Oh my gosh, where is it going to be? Options, maybe? Yeah, options. So that was league settings options. This is where you can choose your awards, and you can rename them if you want to. I've got that pitchers, for instance, and relievers may win the Cy Young and Most Valuable Player award. But one thing that I noticed when I was researching, trying to figure out what possibly could have happened, that I didn't have those awards showing, allow AI voting. And this, I don't know if this is a new setting in 19, but it was unchecked. And so I've checked that, and I'm hoping that next year when the offseason comes along, that those awards will show back up. Otherwise, I don't know what else could have caused it. I think it's still weird that some did show and some didn't, because it did try to give Gold Glove Award and Platinum Stick Award winners, for instance, a Manager of the Year. But I'm not really sure why that happened. It wasn't chosen to disable this award. So I'm really perplexed, but I'm going to go ahead and play out another season and see if that happens again. And I thought about reporting it as a bug, but I'm not sure really it's a bug. I think it might just be some league corruption from my previous file that didn't convert over okay. So we'll see how it goes through next year, but I don't have any award. Long story short, I don't have any award winners to announce. And then another weird thing that happened over the off season is the salary arbitration period. It kept showing up on my list of events to play to, but I never had the option to get into the salary arbitration, and unless it was something that I missed under the rosters and transactions, I never really could find the option where you go in there and manually adjust or manually make your own offers. So what happened is I had to go with whatever the defaults were, and I didn't have any input. I couldn't find at least where I could have input. So that's something I'm going to have to pay attention to next off season as well. But where it really kind of messed me up is I was hoping to make a qualifying offer to Coriolan, and I didn't, and so I don't know if, because it didn't, I don't think that's going to qualify me for an extra draft pick, for instance, in that first round next year if he signs with somebody else. And so that's kind of bugging me. But if you're watching this, and if you've already played through a few seasons in 19, if you know where that is, and maybe it was under the rosters and transactions screen and I just couldn't find it, but it used to show up under the events, upcoming events, like, it says here Hall of Fame voting. It used to show up in this menu in the previous versions, and that's what I would do. I would just go up here and access it from here, and then go through and work out the salary arbitration that way. So not being able to find that this year really kind of ticked me off, because there's some guys here that I may not have made offers to. For instance, Luis Molina. I didn't really want to make an offer to this guy. I had just picked him up kind of as an emergency bench player in the outfield. He had a decent year, but I really wasn't thinking of re-signing this guy. So now I'm stuck with him at a $3 million salary, and Watt Elman got a lot of money, $9.5 million, and he probably would have got it anyway. But I'm really kind of bummed that I wasn't able to make that qualifying offer to Coriolan. But that's where we are as a team. Starting free agency. The first thing I wanted to do, though, before I got into that too in depth, I wanted to look at the Hall of Fame voting, and I think I'm probably just gonna go look at the first year guys and see if there's anyone there that really stands out and needs to be elected. So we got Betances. Not much of a career there for him. Sander Bogarts. Started slipping a little bit as he neared 30. A good player, but didn't really put up Hall of Fame numbers in this playthrough. Chris Stavinsky, or relief pitcher. Freddie Freeman. This is his first year on the ballot. He went to Milwaukee in this playthrough, and he started really struggling there too pretty early. Started losing his batting average, dipped quite a bit. Production was still okay, like that year 2020 when he was 30 years old. He had a good 30 home runs, 109 RBIs, but he didn't get to 2,000 hits or 300 home runs. Career wins above replacement of 42.9, so he's going to fall a little bit short in this playthrough. Paul Goldschmidt, a little bit better of a career. He got past 2,000 hits. I like that on-base percentage for his career. And 59.6 wins above replacement. But you just look through, like, from 2013, he was traded to Boston, and still fairly productive through the 2021 season, but his average started dipping quite a bit, and I just think his numbers aren't going to be there in this playthrough either. Hey, Grandal had a pretty decent career in this playthrough. I mean, he stayed with the Dodgers for a while, went to Detroit. He was, you see the All-Star. He was a 5-time All-Star, won that Platinum Stick Award 3 times, a couple of Gold Gloves. So he had a pretty decent career, almost 300 home runs. Not quite to the Hall of Fame level, but a good career for him. So Jake Lamb is another first-timer. Pretty decent career, but his best year was years were the 17 and 18 season. Felipe Rivero, I'm not familiar with him. He's a first-timer. Looks like a closer. Had a few good years. A couple All-Star appearances. And then Justin Wilson. So that's it for the first-timers. Not much. And then the guys who are still there, Joey Votto, who I have been voting for, and I think I will again. Jimmy Rollins, this is his last time. I'm just going to do it for the heck of it. Oh, and I forgot there is the plus button here to use. Who else? Buster Posey got some votes, though. He's this is his second year. He got 33.5%. And Price, 55.2%. Yep, Jansen, I'm going to vote for him. And that's going to do it. I really don't see anyone else that I think is quite to that Hall of Fame caliber. So that's my ballot, just 3 guys. And now I want to look at, so the next milestone is going to be the winter meetings, but I want to look at my pitching staff. So we lost Ollis, who I was using in that number 1 starting spot. We've got 5 guys here on the roster who are listed as starting pitchers. Lockfeld's a 3-star. Cantelmi, Vallejo are 2.5 stars. Kevin Gowdy and Urrutia are 2-star pitchers. So if that was all I had to go for, I would be Lockfeld, Vallejo, and then I'd probably move Urrutia up here and then Gowdy and can tell me to finish off. And I'll put Kane back in the bullpen. Although he's another guy. If I was able to go through that arbitration, I don't know if I would have offered him another year, even though he was okay. And I guess the fact that he can be emergency starter if I needed him, I guess is good to have. And I'm probably going to be looking at Bobby Austin as the closer. And let's see what that would do if I set him as the closer. So he's still 4.5. So now I'm really looking Ben Wright. He's got some potential, but he's not going to be quite there. He has the potential to close out games, but I think Austin is a little bit better bet right now. So I'm going to have to definitely shoot for another pitcher. Now, I've taken a look at this already before I started this episode. Once again, there are not that many free agent pitching starting pitchers available that fit the bill of what I need. Nelum's great ratings. He's 27 years old. This guy is solid, right? He's also injury prone, and he wants $35 million. I cannot see me risking that much money on this guy. And he's really looking for a long term. If I go to offer him a contract, I mean, he really wants 8-9 years at that $35 million average. And I think he's probably going to find somebody who the AI is probably going to wind up signing this guy. But I just don't want to take that kind of a gamble. And so that leaves me going back from there. His couple 4-stars, and both of those guys are injured. This guy injured for the season. I mean, he's not even going to be able to play next year. And Sanchez, who played for us before, he's out for another 4 months. So he could come in, so December, January, he would be ready to go by spring training. And he's definitely a good pitcher, but I feel like the run that he had in Minnesota and Detroit, I don't think he's going to have that again. I really, if you see what he did with us from 22, after he had that great year in 2021, he was injured the next 2-3 years for us, and that's why I never re-signed him back then. He is definitely a good pitcher, and he's had a good career. He's up to 114 wins, 1,700 and almost 50 strikeouts. So he's been a definitely a good pitcher, but he's wanting long term at 16, so I'm not going to go there. Chris Ollis, I've already kind of said that was a gamble. It was worth the gamble, but he needs to be in the bullpen. He's not a starter, and definitely not $20 million a year. So that leaves me, if I'm really wanting to improve, I'm looking at a bunch of 3-star options here. And of the 3-star options, this guy seems to be the best bet. But he is wanting way too much money. He's a 3.5-star, potential 4-star. I'm going to try, though. He has good personality ratings, and he has had a good career. You see the last 3 years. Those are solid numbers. I'm going to offer this guy a contract, but he's not going to like what I'm going to offer him. So it's going to be 4 years with the vesting option, and that's going to be 150 innings pitched. And I'm going to give him $20 million. So let's see what he says. So a 6-year deal, but he can opt out. Let's make it 5. Oh my gosh, I should have accepted that. Okay, let me do this. 21 million, and I'll give you what you want. So a little bit of a gamble, I realize that, but he's the best that's available, and I'm at the point where I've just got to improve. So the other things that I need to look at, I think I have a couple guys like this Tommy Ray who's close to ready, and I thought I had another one, but I think my bullpen might be okay. I might eke out another good year from that bullpen, so I'm not going to work too hard on improving there, but I do want to pick up another backup catcher. I think I'm okay with the offense. I got to be honest. I mean, Vargas is now 3-star rated with potential 3.5. Ochoa in right, Ailman in left, who might be the best offensive player, and then I got Nodiger and Molina off the bench, and those are lefty. Molina's a lefty, Nodiger's a righty. So I think my offense is okay. Now, if something that I could do, and I'll just see what I can get if I shop Devers around, because I do have that Tennessee guy who's close. So there's some starting pitchers here. Now these guys they probably can start, but their ratings are based on being set as a reliever. So if I were to go in here and change their position to starting pitcher, my guess is those ratings would change a little bit. He hasn't really started a whole lot in the majors, so I wouldn't. I would really want it to be a 3-star or greater starting pitcher. And here's one, Sanchez for Boston. Baltimore. He looks pretty good. He's durable. He's had 2 pretty decent years in a row here for Baltimore. 23 wins combined in 67 starts. Whip is pretty decent. Let's see what else we got. And $11 million for a year for 2 years. Some relievers here. Catching. 2.5-star starter, Jonathan Haggerty, who Cleveland used quite a bit last year. I don't like his movement, though. He gave up 28 home runs, and it's always a little bit scary. What about this guy? He's a potential 5-star rated. He's in the bullpen, though. And Ken Grissett, who shut me out in that wild card game, and I'm still bitter about. I don't think he's a $21 million pitcher. He's 3.5 stars, 3-star rated from OSA, but he's had a pretty decent run of it with Miami the last 5-6 years or so. Career 3.06 ERA. But I don't think I would want to trade for that contract. He's got 3 years left at $21 million. Here's Jimmy Bimbo, who's a pretty decent. He's a lefty. He's a pretty decent starter. He's a 3-star rated. Contract though is escalating. It's $12 million this year, but it's $15.6 million over the last 3 years because there's a player option. So he's not worth that. He did have a 21 season though in 2027. Decent pitcher. Another 3-star Barrios. Oh wow. He's probably getting to the tail end of his career, but he's had a good career in this playthrough. 161 wins, 2,652 strikeouts. Kevin Darby, 3-star pitcher. He's okay. He's durable. But I don't know. He hasn't had what I would consider great numbers the last 3 years, though. Nick Dunn, he's a good player, but man, that's a big contract. Another 3-star from Tampa Bay, Connor Siebold. Looks like he's on the tail end of his career and he's fragile. Yadier Alvarez from Toronto. He's coming off a good year. He looks like he might be fairly durable. He's had 326 starts in his career, 123 wins. Good pitcher, but let me see what his contract's like. $17.8 million for the next 2 years. I don't really want that. So it was worth looking to see what's available, but I would rather hang on to Devers one more year because he's been such a big part of my offense since I signed him, and I don't really think Tennessee is quite ready to go to an everyday player. I don't know if he'll ever be able to be an everyday player. Now, Scout thinks he can be a second division starter. I don't really know that he'll make it to an everyday starter in this league, to be honest. So that leaves me, for now anyway, I'm going to keep pursuing that starting pitcher, and then I'm going to look and see if there's a decent backup catcher who would be willing to be a backup catcher. And let me go overall first. So there's some 2.5-star guys here. And Omar Baldo, he wants to be in that starting lineup. Good defensive catcher, though. Thomas Dillard, who's fragile. Ruiz, fragile. He wants to be in the starting lineup. Good defensive catcher, though. Connor Wong wants to be in the starting lineup. Carson Kelly, he wants to be in the starting lineup. He's a good defender. I wonder if he would, and he bats right. Steve Silvers, he wants to be in the starting lineup, but his defense is really not that solid. And then Justin Cook, he wants to be in the starting lineup. I'm going to offer this Carson Kelly a 1-year contract. I like his defense. He will take, let me see if he'll take $3 million. And so I'll submit that for him. If nothing else, I think he can platoon against lefties because I'm really not sold on Kanan Smith, even though he did kind of, whoa, keep hitting the wrong button. He did kind of have a comeback year in that second half of the season. But I'm going to sim ahead and let's see if we get any updates on those contract offers. My guess is that pitcher is not going to stay around at that contract, but we'll see. So we got man, my scout is just not finding anybody in the minor or in the internationally when he's on those scouting missions. So Carson Kelly, he's happy with my offer so far. Josh Conley from Seattle. Nah, he's fragile and I don't really like that control rating. So we're into December. And Sixto Sanchez signed with Boston. What did they get him for? Oh, they signed a long-term contract with this guy. So looks like a 5-year overall with that last one as an option at $14.6 million. I don't think he's going to play half that contract. And Justin Bellinger signs with the Royals. Looks like they got him for 3 more years with a vesting option of $22.8. So he's more than likely going to get to 2,000 hits within the next couple years. I think he's got a very good chance of making the Hall of Fame. I would vote for him really right now based on the playthrough he's had. And Arizona, they got Nellums from Oakland, and despite that fragile rating, they went through it, and they gave him 7 years, $208 million. It's just under $30 million a year. Whew. That is such a gamble. Good pitcher, but he's only really had one good year in this league. That's scary. And then Tampa Bay, they picked up, who did they pick up? Guerrero, who's been a big star for Cincinnati for his career. And he had a fairly decent comeback year last year after being injured the previous year, but he's still wrecked. Tampa Bay signed him for a couple years at $17.8 million. He's close to 2,000 hits and closer to 500 home runs. I think he'll probably get to that milestone. And he's another one. I feel like I would more than likely vote for him in the Hall of Fame based on his playthrough here. So Venegas, he's already wanting more money. So let me see what he wants. And Carrasco, let me see what this guy signed for. $22 million. Yeesh. Long-term contract too. So Venegas, let's see what he would. Now he's up to $24 million. There is no way this guy's $24 million, but I'm going to give him 5 years. I'll give him $22.5. And let's see what that. All right. This is the last one. I'll go for his demand because if he has 3 good years, I'm hoping that he'll opt out. And I want that last one to be a team option. Okay. So I'll get rid of that team option then. That scares me to go that high on a pitcher, but we need to improve this team somehow. So we did get Carson Kelly, so that's good. And where does that leave us money wise? I mean, so that would really take up our whole. I mean, that would pretty much take up our available money, offering if that guy signs for that deal. So the fans like the Carson Kelly signing, and he might. If you look at his career, he's been a pretty decent offensive player here and there. He might gets more starting time. So Arturo Lozo went to Toronto. Pretty big contract there. He's a good player though. He's had a good career. So we're about to the winter meetings. And the Mets picked up Gavin Lux, who I think is he's fragile. He's been in the league for a while. He's 33. He's had a good career. And we lost Alice. So Venegas still likes our offer. So Chris Alice, he signed with the Yankees. That figures for 5 years at $14.4 million. There's no way I was going to give him that. And the overall fan interest decreased noticeably. That's surprising because he wasn't really a fan favorite. Boston would send Jamari Lazare, who's a starter, for Bobby Austin. Nah. I like I like him as my closer right now, so I'm not gonna. That guy is probably a 2.5 rated starter if I moved him over to the starting rotation. So Grant Burton signs on with Atlanta. He's a 4-star player, good defender, but he's fragile. But they paid $18 million for him, and offensively, he's okay. I mean, he's got some speed, I guess, but his average is career 260. And Minnesota signed this Jerry Angelich. I'm really not understanding. This guy's gone all next year, and they signed him to a long-term contract at $18.8 million. That makes no sense. Maybe that's something that they can address in a future patch to the game. I don't know what would be I don't know what you could do to address it, honestly, but that seems too risky for the AI to do that. So so looking at where we're at right now, we're starting the winter meetings. I'll probably go through this offline, and I'm more than likely going to go ahead and sim up to spring training and see if we can keep Venegas. If we can't, I'm not gonna raise that contract. That's as high as I'm gonna go. So if I can't get him, I'll be looking. The Rule 5 draft's coming up. I may throw out a few trade offers to see if I can get anyone interested in giving me a good starting pitcher one-on-one. And several good closers here still left, and Manny Machado's still left. He's now, for his career, he's over 500 home runs and getting close to 3,000 hits. So somebody will probably pick him up. But Coriolan, he's wanting $16.5 million. And he's a borderline starter because he's got 3 pitches, but only 2 of them are really strong or adequate. So if I signed him, he would be back in the bench or back in the bullpen. But in terms of starters left now, starting pitchers, so if I can't sign Venegas, Derek Casey, I might. Well, he's wrecked. Andy Nowlin, I'm not gonna give that guy $16 million, but if he's available later on towards spring training, I might think about it. Here's another guy who I may be interested in offering if I'm really running behind and I can't get anybody else. Ernie Lehman. I don't like that movement though, but that usually leads to a lot of home runs, and you can see. Although last year he finished with 18 wins between Washington and the Yankees. He might be somebody I'll look at later on. But I plan on signing another starting pitcher, regardless of whether it's the guy Venegas or not. But we'll see. I mean, I'm willing to put out a little bit of money there to get a guy of Venegas's caliber, and even him. I mean, he's still a mid-rotation starter. I hate giving that kind of money for a mid-rotation starter, but you can see there's really not that much available right now this year. But that'll do it for this episode, and I'll see you next time. We'll probably be at spring training. So thanks for watching and subscribing and your comments and your thumbs up. I appreciate that. And we'll see you next episode. Thanks.